Showtime. Dynamite download.
Dynamite download, your home for all positive coverage with all elite wrestling.
You guys, positive energy.
This reality, like, it is me. Like,
who let this guy in here?
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
I'm saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm gonna have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
I said, Mariah May. She said, who?
Because I'm so driven, and I'm so moved to like what I want to do.
Versus Brian Keith match.
It's awesome. Well, it's so cool. You got like these creepy ass dudes.
Oldest ride, longest line.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah.
Back to do an interview with those guys. You know why? Because they spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Welcome to Dynamite Download, the SPD and Mind Runner. Totally not Mid Runner. We are here on episode 154. How you doing, SPD?
Man, it feels good to be back again. Guess who's back again?
Yes.
After a 2-week hiatus, last week was on the high seas, hot take on the high seas, and then the week before we had a Halloween little break for that, but it feels good to be back. I missed y'all, I missed everyone. And I mean, in that 2-week time frame, I guess 3 total, it's like so much has been going on in AEW. It's like, whew, you can feel it now. And when I was watching the show last night, I was like, wait, we're only 10 days away from Full Gear. I'm like, man, that creeped up quick.
All of a sudden.
Did it ever?
Well, the Dynamite Club Gold, we held it down last week, but we tried to update. Of course, we had a nice hot take from you from the out in the seas in the middle of the ocean. But so much cool stuff going on, and it's been crazy, and it's been crazy on the draft as well.
I don't even want to talk about that.
We can talk about it for just a quick second.
No, I know we got it. We always got to talk about it. Like I said, it's marathon, not a.
Yeah, we've got the here we go. Here are the draft numbers, and looky, sitting at the top is the Queen himself, Mind Runner, 33 points. Now again, this is still anybody's game. We got Full Gear. Not only after Full Gear, we're drafting 3 more, and there are some hot agents available after Full Gear.
There are definitely some big names. Also, the Continental Classic Tournament is coming back in 2 weeks as well. So that means we're going to get some core matches. Whoever's in that tournament, that is definitely, you're going to see a lot of action in and out of AEW television. So in as much as I see you got a nice lead there, and I'm hoping, man, one of us can steal that +3 for Full Gear, plus the additional bonus points. But, I mean, you're riding that tidal wave of the tag division with Private Party on that run to gold.
Yep.
But, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, they haven't wrestled since they've gotten the gold. And I feel like that's kind of like the trend of a lot of champions when they get the journey is almost better than the destination, so the climb, like every week, twice a week, the wrestling win, then they get that, then it's kind of like pumping the brakes, which I'm not sure why AEW does that. I think they could continue momentum. This isn't just for Private Party. I feel like they've done this with other champions in the past as well. But anyways, it's a tight race. It was a very tight race, and I'm kind of a little sourpuss that my FTR didn't win last night to give me a +2 points there to go out into third place, tie for third. But that main event match, which we can talk about real quick. But if you got anything else to gloat about at the top of the chain there, Mind Runner.
No, I just got to say you're absolutely right. The Continental Classic is really going to flip a lot of these points, and Orange Cassidy it will likely not be involved because he's feuding with Moxley. I don't know if he's going to be involved after what happens at Full Gear. So
that's something we can talk about next week's show.
Yes.
We can the Continental Classic kind of sprung up on us yesterday, which was great news. But I feel like next week's show we should have a segment and book our participants.
Yes.
And as you said, as you're on Twitter and X about having a women's one, and so I feel like we could book our. What did they do last time? I forget how many.
Was there 5 or 6? I think there was.
There was like the blue one and then the yellow one or whatever it was. There's 2 divisions. I can't remember if it was 6 and 6 or what it was, but we'll have to look back on it. But whatever it is, we'll mirror that amount of number, and we'll pick who we want to be in the tournament. So those of you in the chat, come with some picks as well. We'll share ours. We'll have them preloaded, and we'll go through each team one by one for the Continental picks there. But the main event, I want to dive in, talk about Dynamite last night because we have a lot to cover. We're not going to cover it all, and we have a very, very special guest coming up very soon on our show. So definitely we could take some questions from the chat. We're going to have a nice, fun chat with the one and only Mr. Fun Size Marco Stunt. So stick around for that. But Dynamite last night was filled with a lot of things, a lot of different, as I continue to say, a lot of spider webs of storylines as they're really, really promoting Full Gear in such a diverse styles of matches and feuds. And it's like, you're going to Baskin Robbins and you have all these flavors and you can pick whichever one you want to be your favorite. Obviously, like the world title picture with the Death Riders Moxley main event. But when you have everything else thrown in there, it's like, you can start and finish this card and it's going to be so solid. Like, not that there has really ever been weak links or whatever, but it's going to be interesting to do our preview show next week and make our predictions because I feel like some of these matches can be toss-ups.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there were some surprises. There were some matches where I feel like it was an upset, but they made the right call. And there were some matches where I think they should have made a different call. I like the flow of the whole night because it was very fluid. It was like the matches kind of flew into it. It was almost like nonstop for that first half hour or that first hour or so. It was like a lot of matches kind of flowing into each other. But then there was also a good heavy segment oriented. There were a lot of segments. There were a lot of surprises in the segments. There was a lot of meat on this show, and I thought I did it in a very artistic way. Match of the night was a balance between the main event and the match that preceded it. Because when you put my favorite wrestler currently, Swerve Strickland, versus the man that exists at a higher frame rate than the rest of us mortals, Leo Rush.
Right.
But I love how, and you and I were talking about this offline, I love how Moxley's, that whole Moxley Death Riders thing, as well as the Hurt Syndicate, throughout the whole night, you could feel like they weren't always physically there, but you could sense that they were there. Like there was that overlap storyline kind of, you could feel like at any time they could show up. And I think those are good. It's very compelling. I mean, you have Leo Rush still has that card, those of you caught Collision, the Acclaimed, Max Caster still has the MVP card. We could be seeing a split up on the Acclaimed. It's going to be interesting. They take on LFI on Saturday, but I'm with you. I mean, this has been a unique, and I don't mean in a bad way, a unique setup for Full Gear where I don't know. I don't see a clear winner so far in what's been booked. With the exception, and it just, I don't see Chris Statlander defeating Mercedes Moné, but just to get into it, I felt like the whole night last night, did a great job setting everything up, getting a lot of storylines going. I enjoyed it from start to finish. It flowed very well.
I agree. It flowed very well. A lot of good promos, a lot of stuff we got off air too on AEW social channels, which is great. And Mark Davis and Will Ospreay having a face-to-face confrontation, which was very interesting. How that's going to play off. Davis is kind of still torn and where he's going to go.
Yeah.
But I love seeing, as I did in my IC's hot take was about Hobbs. Just even though we just saw him briefly, standing tall with Ospreay, I'm excited to see what's in store for him. But before we talk about some of the matches and segments, like Steven had a point of like who's going to save Swerve, and Lashley and Shelton they're top tier guys, and so obviously Swerve, former champ, top tier guy. So in my opinion, this just came off the top of my head when hearing this. Like, I really don't know who could necessarily come to his aid, but it would have to be someone on the caliber of a world champ. Now, could we see a reuniting Swerve in her glory? Oh, Swerve in her glory. Keith Lee
that's interesting.
Come to save Swerve. Could you see that happening?
That is interesting.
Keith Lee, who we've not seen for a while, I know he's been battling some health issues.
Yeah.
But could we see the reuniting of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland to take on the Hurt Syndicate? Or who would you pick if you had to pick?
Here's the thing. I hadn't thought like that, but I think part of me is kind of like, I know that there's some. I would love to have Keith Lee back, but I don't know. Is his health stuff going on? And I'd rather see Keith Lee. Except now we've got the Hurt Syndicate kind of took my idea of the Kingpin Keith Lee. So that I got to scrap that whole booking. That would be even if it was a one shot to have Keith Lee come back, I think that would be compelling to see. There's a wrestler
came back and let's just say like took a loss to Bobby Lashley just to like uplift him or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a permanent alliance, but I don't know. Like, I don't know who would fit into that storyline right now on the higher caliber. Like, does any of you guys have a good guess or a good prediction, or who would you want?
There's a wrestler that hasn't really been talked about at all on the main shows. He's on Ring of Honor. He's had some matches, but he's a very close friend of Swerve, and he is a wrestler. He's known as the Judge. He's EJ Duca, and he's like Lance Archer's height, and I mean he's a big dude, and like he's been involved in quite a bit. Here's a picture of him with Lee Moriarty, and not Lee Moriarty, Lee Johnson, and he's a big dude, and he trains with Swerve, and so I could see him either coming to join Swerve or joining the Hurt Business and be another big guy. Except the Hurt Business, the Hurt Syndicate, they need a guy like Leo Rush. So I don't know. I just think that it'd be interesting to see. I think it would be interesting to see if they bring him on, but we'll see what happens. And maybe Swerve just wants to take him home. What's War Daddy? Interesting.
That would be interesting. Well, let's move on to something I know you got a little hot topic about, the women's match of the night.
Yeah.
Penelope Ford, her second match back versus DMD after she was back and then had a little was sick a little bit. And so, as we've always talked very highly of both of these ladies in the division, and Penelope Ford, I think we're both in a lockstep about how underrated, underutilized she is in AEW because her talent level, both offense, defense, selling, character work, it's pretty much the total package with it. And I think she does a great job with everything that she's done in her time in these years in AEW. And it's great to have her back. And it's hoping for a nice push because I think she really deserves it.
I still stand by, obviously we keep things very positive, and I still say that you can be a DMD fan and a Thunder Rosa fan. Obviously, if I'm more a Thunder Rosa than Britt. This is before Mission Pro stuff, but I really feel like AEW dropped the ball with this because I feel like this was an opportunity to give Penelope a well-deserved, I argue I say upset because most people felt like DMD was going to win this match. But I feel like this would have actually done Britt a favor as well because it would have, I think it would have really lit kind of it would have mortalized her in the eyes of the fans. The way that the ending, I'll talk about the ending of the match and then I want to talk about the match and I'll be real quick about it. The ending of the match, Penelope loses, Penelope they did the reverse of what I thought they should have done. Penelope gets her in her back arch cradle submission, and then DMD reverses it into the lockjaw. I thought what would have been cool is if Britt gets her in the lockjaw, and then Penelope does this back arch into a submission, or gets the pin, and it would have been an upset. You could have still, Britt wouldn't lose much with that because she could still I can't believe Penelope outsmarted her, what have you. But then Serena Deeb comes out. And I don't know if the crowd was tired or whatever, but it just didn't seem compelling. And it didn't seem like anybody was into it. But what irritated me, and again, this is, I want to keep it positive, but I got to keep it real. You could hear the camera zooms on Britt. You can hear her say, nobody cares. Nobody cares about this. And to me, I think that was the wrong move, even if that was just 100% a work. But I don't feel like it is with her all the time a work. But even if that was 100% a work from the DMD, you want to be like, oh, crap. She did a much better job being, oh, crap about Saraya when she debuted. She should have looked at Serena Deeb and looked like a ghost from her past. But she acted like Serena Deeb, nobody cares. And I think that was a mistake. What would have been cool instead is that you could have had Serena Deeb interfere and cost Britt the match. And then now Britt's got a compelling reason to be pissed at Serena Deeb. But I think a lot of people agreed that Penelope Ford should have won this match. And coming off of a loss. And Penelope was great. I did feel like, I don't want to use the S word, the SB word with Britt, but Britt seemed off. Penelope seemed like she was doing a lot more selling than Britt was. And I don't want to think it was the SB, but I'll just put it to you this way. Britt's got to do a lot more to make me a fan again. I didn't like the way this ended. And that's all I'm going to say.
I mean, it's you talk about the whole kind of uplifting your opponents. As soon as you said that, I thought about the Moxley moment when Darby came off and how bad he was selling and kind of the retreat, even though Moxley's been booked at this, the crazy bulldog, awesome. And then, but when Darby came out and Darby did that drop, he sold the move and he sold the fear, even though he doesn't have to do any of that because he's on this Death Rider craze. Now, I agree. What I said about Penelope, I think this match, it was interesting because you want to push someone's return for both ladies. I am still on Team DMD. I think yes, it's going to take time and reps and wins to get her back to the main event spotlight that she once held and was on top for many months in AEW, and there was no one really touching her, not necessarily just in the ring, but on the mic and in character work. And then now that we have this such great, diverse and infiltrated roster of the women's division, I think she has a lot to prove again, and that's okay. And I think you don't want to get in a steady, comfortable scenario. And so this will be a true test that I am here to see, but I think Britt needs to go heel. I think climbing the ladder back to the top as a babyface, given where she's at right now and the babyfaces in the division, I think it's going to be much more challenging. Now, if she turns heel, it'll be easy for us fans to boo her, and it'll be easiest for us fans. She'll get more mic time. I feel like she'll get more moments to shine in her heel stage. So if Britt turns heel, I think you'll be singing a different tune. A lot of us will be singing a different tune, and we'll realize why we fell in love with her and why we, she's part of the foundation of AEW. And I think she's a foundational part of AEW as a heel. And I loved when she turned babyface. It was great and all that. But I feel like she needs to be more of a heel. Like Mercedes is doing such a great job as a heel.
Yes.
And so Mariah May is as well. But there's still room for a DM. There's always room for a DMD heel. Just like there's always room for MJF heel.
She needs to bring back the Pomeranian top that she used to have, when she was a heel. She had me at Whataburger, cheesy Whataburger faces. That's the Brit we need.
Right.
And you can have her, take on Penelope, take on some more faces. I think she'd be great. But a lot of people in the chat are saying, put Penelope with Deanna's Mafia group. I also want Tony, please, Penelope Ford versus Lady Frost. We need this in our lives, please.
So I got to talk about one of Dynamite Download's favorites, a great match that kind of surprised me, but it was great. The crowd was into it. It was Lance Archer, Roderick Strong. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match, and in typical Murder Hawk fashion, just unpredictable chaos. Awesome violence and new stuff you see consistently. And that's what you love about the Murder Hawks matches and the theme that he has for them. It's so fun as fans, and the crowd was going wild for it. And it showed. I mean, there was some great moments, some back and forth. You saw two teams going at it as well. But the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation really helped out about. I know this was a relatively quick match, but I really did feel like the more we are seeing Lance on TV, it's great. I mean, obviously we're eating it up, and his pairing with the family, as they're starting to say the family, not necessarily the Don Callis family. Kyle Fletcher was saying the family, but yes, making it a must watch for sure. These guys are beasts, and Roderick Strong has won his way to a match versus MJF, and I think it was the right move. If we have time later to talk about it, to have Roderick Strong get the 3 wins over Adam Cole, because you don't want to. Hopefully, they build the Adam Cole MJF match to be more of a main event spotlight. Now, if Adam Cole and MJF were on Full Gear, I feel like that's a match that can get lost in the card a little bit because of the bigger stories that are going on right now up to Full Gear. Now, you need to have the MJF Adam Cole feud be more meaningful, more main event quality to help Adam Cole get back on the map, in my opinion.
I agree.
Back to this match. What do you think, bud?
First of all, I think Lance Archer needs to, in his contract, if he doesn't have it already, it needs to be that all of his matches need to be Falls Count Anywhere matches of some kind, because it's just him in the crowd just throwing people around, having Brian Cage still involved. I mean, let's be honest, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, they're Dynamite Download. They're part of our family. We love them. It was great to see Lance Archer getting so much more TV time. I think what they tried to do with him in the Righteous ran its course, with him and Jake ran its course. Great to see Lance Archer. I do think this was the right call, even though I'm not feeling the whole United Kingdom storyline. Roderick has been really trying. Like, you almost got to give credit to Roderick Strong, where he obviously wasn't originally supposed to be carrying the weight of that whole faction, but with Wardlow and Adam Cole out for so long, he has moved mountains to really keep it going. So this was the right call. But Lance didn't lose anything either in this match, because it was just such a great distress. And that whole scene where that one kid was just stoked to see Lance Archer. He drove 30 minutes to see Lance Archer, and he throws Roderick right in front of him and just kind of does everybody dies. And you could see how over Lance Archer is with everybody. So as we get closer to back to more Texas matches, where I know All In is going to be in Texas, Arlington. We've got to get more Lance, and we've got to really put more Lance. If you're going to push Murder Machine as a tag team, we need more tag team matches with them.
Right.
Just obliterating fools. And whoever wins between Private Party and whoever wins at Full Gear. I think Murder Machine needs to just come out and destroy them.
Yeah, I would love that to happen, and really, that's a great heel team to essentially have a babyface team climb up and try to dethrone the Kings or the Beasts.
Up, we got hold on just a second. We got ourselves a super chat party. We have a new super chat party, by the way.
Oh my God, is that a private chat party?
All right, is that Private Party? Yes, it's Private Party. Thank you. Thank you.
This is the first time that I've seen that, so thank you, Brian. That's the first time I've seen that new super chat party. So well done. Of course, you're going to do that because all of your fantasy points. But I do like the private party.
Wait! Is that a second one?
Uh-oh.
All right, we got to go with the Thunder one then. All right, so we got to double up on that. That's 2 super stickers. Oh, we both get a diamond ring. BR, thank you so much. I guess. All right, tell me in the chat what do you want the next super chat party theme to be? Should it be MJF, Orange Cassidy? Let us know in the chat.
Orange Cassidy.
Not Orange Cassidy. Let us know in the chat who do you think the theme should be around.
I want it to be like a Osprey theme.
Osprey? You guys think Osprey?
Osprey.
I wonder if Full Tilt Dead thinks Osprey should be Osprey.
I don't know. We'll
says
figure
yes.
something out. The final countdown. But anyways, let's talk about another match while we're rocking and rolling. I guess we can shift gears into this one because we're on the same topic, but Adam Cole versus Takeshita. And this is where I really kind of just want to focus on Takeshita. Like, man, it's no secret. I mean, this guy is just an absolute stud. And I think really we're just hopefully getting the tip of the iceberg with him because he's had quite the 2024 and really opened my eyes to what he can really do in the ring and hold himself in the ring. Like, even as well as like promo work, like for what he, for being, from Japan, and like it's doing some really great promo work. And I think like the pairing is now just starting to pay off with the family. And I am all for this offense. I love the one move he does, and then he holds on and does that, like the suplex as well. Like his offense is starting to be some of my favorite offense.
Yeah.
In AEW, I really enjoy him, and man, I'm happy. I was nervous when TK announced this that Adam Cole was going to beat him, and I know it was a non-title match, but I was really nervous. And you're right, at the top of the show, like I completely agree. I was like, this is the right move. Adam Cole's spray tan was not on point. You can tell like he's not going to win a match if it's certain shades of orange. I mean, that spray tan was.
It didn't quite.
Maybe MJF like changed the bottle color or whatever it may be. But
it didn't look like the Simpsons from last week. But yeah, he needs
to. I can respect the cheating to win. Obviously he's a heel, and so cheat to win with the way he did it, like in typical MJF fashion. That's just planting more seeds. Like Takeshita doesn't have to do anything anymore with Adam Cole, but like it was kind of just another notch in the belt and move on. But to Ricochet, which is going to be a fantastic match when they finally have a one-on-one, which they're planting seeds for that. But what did you think of Takeshita's performance, as well as like how Adam Cole's been doing now that he's back in the ring?
I like Adam Cole. And I'm glad he's made certain life decisions. But I do think that I feel like, when Buddy Matthews said you're fragile, that stuck. I hate to say it, it stuck with me.
Point.
And
right.
I think that should be a storyline would be Adam Cole's self-doubt. Have him now go on this self-doubt and, kind of like how Hanger did there for a while where he was almost hitting rock bottom. I mean, Adam doesn't need alcohol, but have him. You could even involve Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick and have Adam kind of start to get the imposter syndrome.
Sure.
The other thing, of course, maybe if you want to play up the fact that he has a cadaver bone in his body, maybe the House of Black. I said this last week that maybe have that's why Malachi took the L for him, was he recognized that there's a undead portion of Adam Cole and that he's going to slowly turn into a member of House of Black, whatever. But I think Takeshita was great. I say this with all respect to Adam Cole, but I felt like Takeshita is just the superior athlete. He's the superior wrestler, and
sure.
He should have won. And he exactly was just tremendous. Adam Cole is a good underdog wrestler, and you put him in those situations but I think Adam's got to earn it back with us a little bit, because he left us as the devil, and
right.
we had to 180 so quick to like him and see him as a baby face that it I don't know, it bothered it. They got it, and AEW. That's the thing. Trust AEW, because AEW, like, if you don't like a storyline, wait 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, okay, they'll either pivot, they'll see what works, and it doesn't, they'll pivot, and then boom, they'll find gold. And I think with Adam Cole, he's going to go on a long boo-hoo. Do I not have it anymore? And then he's going to find his way and go up the top. But yeah, great.
Yeah,
great,
and I'm excited for the chase and the build to ultimately his MJF match, but I'm more excited just for pure wrestling of what Takeshita is going to do. And I know he's been spread all over. Now that he has the actual international title, he's going to be all over. He's got matches booked all over the world, not just in AEW. And, we have to share him a little bit, unfortunately. Selfishly, I want him to have almost kind of like a Will Ospreay type of run where he was having weekly matches and so forth, because he's one of the top tier quality guys in terms of like pure wrestling moves, and his offense is so strong and aggressive. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I hope we get more of it. And I think I want to see, we saw it a few weeks ago, but we're not seeing it consistently necessarily, like a united Don Callis family, or AKA the family. I feel like stables need to kind of stick together. Unfortunately, we didn't see Pac last night with the Death Riders, which who knows if there's travel issues and all that. But I feel like stables where you always saw Jericho Appreciation Society, like, always together. You always saw the Inner Circle always together, even the Pinnacle. It wasn't like Takeshi, one person just showing up one week and whatever. I think a stable's momentum is crucial, just as a singles wrestler's momentum is crucial. So, like, I don't want to see these kind of split, even though they're part of the same family, split up. I want them power in numbers, because it makes them all more effective as well as more intimidating to me.
I agree. What a transformation Kyle Fletcher has had. We joke about him being, the Viper 2.0, being the new AEW's Randy Orton, but I think he's I think I like this. He's like Deb says, he's got his man spread, and I actually like Fletcher's being now. Kyle Fletcher is there. There's always a nugget of truth in a lot of these promos, and
right.
Fletcher really is distinguishing himself as not an Ospreay clone. And I actually felt like between him and Ospreay, he had the better promo. Granted, Ospreay could fart in the microphone and it'd be great, but like with Kyle Fletcher, he's really embracing this heel, and I really think he's putting himself, he is elevating himself into the spot where he could be like another Takeshita. He could actually be a contender for a higher belt, and I feel like this is going to be, of course, this is going to be an insane match between the two of them, but great stuff. I mean, I'm just eating it up.
So I started becoming a Fletcher fan essentially when he had to go solo, like, and he slowly was like getting more time in each match, and was putting on these great matches, and then, man, I'm all in for what Fletcher has to offer. And I don't know, man. If you must be, blind, deaf, and mute if you don't see how much Fletcher has grown over the last few months, and especially like these last few promos that he's been cutting. I mean, talk about maximizing your minutes, and I feel like just making you feel something. Like, I think he did such a good job, and he's such a young guy too, and he can walk the walk and talk the talk, and obviously so can Ospreay. But I like the meaning behind this feud. I really, really do, and I like how he's transformed himself physically in the whole shaving the head thing and the storyline behind it, and essentially being an Ospreay shadow. But I feel like Fletcher has definitely proved himself to be a guy who could take on Ospreay and go toe to toe. Now, do I think he's going to beat him? I don't. I think Ospreay is one of the few untouchables just because I think he's fantastic. However, like Steven said in the chat, the wild card is Davis. And so Mark Davis, at first I thought he was like all in, baby face, Team Ospreay, but I question that now because of the backstage, the social special of the way Mark Davis kind of got in Ospreay's face and was talking about, it was you that caused this. It was you that did this. You went to Don Callis' family first. You caused him to do this. So I do think there's going to be the wild card. I think they're going to have one of the best matches of the night in terms of pure wrestling, bell to bell.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're going to get I think the push for Fletcher is there, and not just because he's on Team SBD, but I think like if Davis does have something to do, I think someone's going to have to there's not going to be a clean victory, but I do think Fletcher could take the win here.
How about that moment when Ospreay threw the screwdriver and it stuck into the mat?
Perfect. Made it so
was very
symbolic. Meaningful. Yeah, I know, right?
That was very.
Do you think like how much do you like this Fletcher push that we're seeing?
I love it. I think you're right. I think even losing to Ospreay, I'm glad Mark Davis there is no longer dressing like my aunt from Chicago. He's getting a little bit better. I thought it was interesting the whole thing where Ospreay said, "I've got my friends too," and he had that big face off with everybody. Hobbs, I'm loving Hobbs being part of this and just being just the badass that he is.
All right.
Let's get Hobbs and Takeshita going, man. I mean, if
there's
we
a hot
get
take
that
right there.
Yes, and there you go. Yes, Steven, what a great segue, because we gotta have let's put you put Kyle Fletcher in there. He's gotta rack some wins up in the Continental Classic.
Yeah.
I think that would be tremendous to see him. I think he's gonna be a standout in the Continental Classic, but I think it'd be great to see Hobbs in there too, and Hobbs just destroying fools. So it's gonna be great. I'm excited for it. And I really like how they're pushing Fletcher.
Yeah, I think it's just like pure wrestling. The guy has got some great stuff between the ropes. Like really fun to watch, and he's a big guy too with an awesome offense. Real quick on the Continental Classic, they had a blue and a gold league, 6 wrestlers each, 20-minute time limit, 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, 0 for a loss, and then the 2 groups of the winners advance to the finals for that. So 12 total wrestlers, and last year was, let's see who we had. We had Moxley, Lethal, Briscoe, Roos, Swerve, Jay White, Brody King, Claudio, Andrade, Garcia, Danielson, so Kingston. So speaking of Garcia, like we haven't seen him in a while. Like I missed one of the, I was reading about it, but has Garcia made any impact over the last few weeks on AEW television at all?
Yeah, well, he's kind of in a way he's leading the kind of the resistance and against Moxley. He's part of that with Orange Cassidy and them, and he kind of was the one trying to light a fire under Orange Cassidy, and he is also challenge. I think he's now pushing to challenge Jack Perry for the
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
for
right.
TNT. Like he's really kind of involved with that. We could and just a little update. We're getting a little bit of a delay with our guest tonight. Hopefully he'll still be able to join us here in just a little bit, but we can still talk about some of the other cool things there. Our favorite heel, probably my favorite, and I just imagine, we're finally really getting to see, like his best part of his career is in AEW. Christian Cage.
Oh yeah.
Just the whole. I mean, of course, what a tag team this was. I mean, we had
Page.
We had the Guns Up club, but Page and Cage. First of all, Hanger is nailing the whole crazy cowboy look. I mean, the way they were tagging in back and forth. Christian faking injuries left and right. Nick Wayne getting involved and getting choked by Hook at the edge of the thing, I thought was great.
Right.
I like that Kip's involved, but I thought this was a great opener. But I felt like, Juice was definitely shouldering the a lot of the match. He was taking the beatings so that Jay could look better, and I think that's one of the cool things that they're doing. But I love the heel mentality of Christian Cage, and it really got a chance to shine in this match. And a match where it seemed like it was thrown together really gelled well. And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you: guns up.
We need more Christian Cage promos. I feel like
yes.
we when we get them, they're just actually like pure pieces of art and masterclass on the mic. And so I want to see him in the ring. More promos from our father, Christian Cage. But Adam Page has inspired the growing out the stash. So thank you for noticing that earlier, Brent. So has Dax the Axe. It's inspired that. Well, it is also Movember too. So growing out the stash for Movember, a little bit thicker. But the Jay White, Juice Robinson pairing, I miss. That's back to circling back. I miss the factions. I miss strong factions. I want a strong faction. And obviously we're seeing it with the Death Riders, but I want to see the Bang Bang Gang in full force every single week. I want the Guns back on television. Like maybe we see Jay White, which he already won, may win again at Full Gear. And then the Bang Bang Gang stands tall. Like give us the Collision Cowboys as a group, as a whole. Let one of them from the group wrestle every single week, no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether, just rotate between tags, trios, singles, like just give us that. And I want to see that because they're too good not to be featured on TV. So that I miss that. But Juice is so entertaining, man. I mean, the way he sells, the way he wrestles, the way he yells in the ring, the way he just everything about him is a lot of entertaining. I did enjoy this match, kicking it off, and I love a good opening match and no commercial breaks too. So that part aside, I enjoyed it. But to end the show, FTR versus House of Black. Now, there's been some rumors and stuff online, like what's going on with House of Black, what's going on with Malachi. Obviously, it's just online clickbait and all that shenanigans. So House of Black, yes, granted, Malachi and Buddy lost to Adam Cole Bebe, but FTR, former champs, one of the best tag teams alive right now, going against not necessarily a true tag team, but just 2 beasts, former trios champs, and interesting booking. Like this is a flip of the coin to me. The only reason, if this was a standalone match, that one, the result, I would have been a little bit more head scratched. But because, yes, the house always wins. Good point. Because this was for the Full Gear thing, it would have been too infiltrated with baby faces, in my opinion. Unless you were leaning towards an FTR heel turn, you have obviously FT Runner in the ring versus Private Party, who just beat one of the bigger baby faces, Young Buck, or bigger heels, Young Bucks. So to have 3 babyface teams essentially going against Roosh, if Roosh's teams win, or even if Acclaimed win, like you can't have that. You need some kind of, wild card, which House of Black is going to deliver. And honestly, in a match with Private Party, Outrunners, and House of Black, and then fourth TBD, like House of Black, man, I don't know how you can beat them. You're going to have them be secluded outside the ring for someone to take a victory inside, because with them in between the ropes, it's going to be tough to beat that team. Yeah. As we saw what they did versus FTR last night.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I also think that I think, we talked about how weird it was Malachi just taking the L from Adam Cole and just having a seat and that whole thing. And of course it led to rumors about him leaving, which, he got upset with people saying that, but I'm kind of like, well, dude, did you watch your match? Look at, what you did there. I wonder if if now we're going to see more of a push. I mean, Julia's coming back, that killer cinema promo that they had of her coming back. The House of Black needs to get I think it would be great to see them get the gold. And here's the thing is, if you put FTR instead of House of Black in this fatal 4-way, not only are you the faces, you've got FTR going against the Outrunners, and I don't think that would work. I bet FTR is going to be involved. They'll probably come down and try to help the Outrunners of some kind, not cheat, but like make sure that they're protected. But I think whether it's, I don't think it should be. I think LFI should win, because I think what we're about to see a Claim breakup. I think we're going to see a feud between Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, which, if that happens, they need to strap a rocket to Anthony Bowens. But so it'd be LFI. So if you have LFI, House of Black, Private Party, Outrunners, as much as I love the Outrunners, I see House of Black taking the titles, or I see Private Party retaining, one or the other.
I see Private Party retaining because it's so new still. However, it's fun to have this discussion how there's these teams that really not necessarily like LFI and House of Black, not necessarily a true traditional tag team like an FTR that we have been established for a while, would be fun to watch. So it's fun to have that in the picture now, which I don't think I feel like we haven't had that in a while. And I think the Young Bucks did a great job having some fantastic matches with the titles. However, like throwing this fatal 4-way, it's really going to be good to showcase some new teams in the division that are on the rise up. And, with the House of Black, like, man, the stuff that they do every time, it's so unique and one-off, and it's so fun. And we've talked about it time and time again, how they always need to be featured. And I think with the return of Julia Hart, with 2 fantastic vignettes, 2 just killer vignettes, no pun intended, to really bring her back, I think this is the smart way to bring her back. I think you had just Darby Allin style directing style, like bizarreness in a way, which is going to has been giving us hype every single week. Hype. And I think the way that's been edited and cut and directed was really great. And that way it's going to be a bigger payoff than, let's just say, it gets dark and she shows up. Yes, we'll pop, but I feel like this anticipation level is much higher, and it's going to it's getting us more and more excited to tune in and wait to see her return, instead of a surprise, which I'm all for surprises. I love when someone's music hits or someone appears and it's a good surprise, a good pop. However, like this build, I think, has been really good, and got to give props to those vignettes, because her getting back healthy and this slow burn back to the house, because Brody called and said come back home. It's a lot of fun. What do you think of these vignettes?
I love them. And again, I said a lot on Mission Pro. We talked about this. The way that Julia Hart not only has progressed from that cheerleader character, which I liked at the beginning, she's really embraced this character. She's running with it. And, I know whatever creative team she's working with, I know a lot of it's her. And she's embracing this character. I mean, she is, you could almost make a case that, Malachi is supposed to be kind of the leader of House of Black, but Julia is kind of the she's the most dominant. She's definitely got the most W's out of everybody there, and her coming back is going to be great. I'm with Steven. I mean, because it does seem like that, she interrupted Jamie Hayter's promo. That's going to be a compelling, pair up. But I think this is another team opportunity for, and I'm with Brent. I don't want Hayter to lose, but Julia Hart needs to be, when she comes back, she needs to be that scary Instagram witch that just goes around, causing havoc. And I think there's a lot they could do. See, this is why they need a women's Continental Classic, because then what I love about the Continental Classic, and we said this before, and this would work for women, and what I love about it with the men is you could have these dream matchups where your favorite loses, but they're still in it. Like look at how Eddie Kingston, he took LLL and then he ended up winning, or going on to it.
Right.
You have these moments where you could have a Julia Hart versus Britt Baker, and then you could have a Julia Hart versus Thunder Rosa. And then the next week you have Julia Hart versus Jamie Hayter, and she could win some of those and lose some of those. But as far as the pack, this is what the entire women's division needs. I mean, look what made Toni Storm so popular was all this presentation of Toni Storm, the character, Julia Hart embracing this character that she is. That's what compelling characters, whether they're serious or a comedy character, you can, or somewhere in between. That's what connects with the audience. And if you just, and there's so many, like, there's so many wrestlers out there that are just generic. They haven't found their niche yet or what have you. But when you find that gimmick that makes you stand out and that's compelling, that you got to take that all the way to the bank.
You're absolutely right. And I think, like, yes, Hayter is top tier talent, former champ, coming back with a vengeance. I think Hayter losing to Hart is a good sign of, like, really pushing her. It's another one of those things you could have circled back what we talked about early on. Like, if Penelope Ford beat the DMD, that would have been a sign that they're going to push her. And so I think Hart was near, top of her game, former champ, TBS champ, and doing some great stuff with that. Like, could you imagine down the line House of Black feuding with Death Riders? Like, how good would that be? Like, push Hart to up there so she can be this dominant force that could take down a Marina Shafir, which would be quite the test. And so it would be really cool to see the House of Black versus the Death Riders, because I feel like that would be a really great matchup. And I mean, we've seen obviously like Claudio go against some of them, but in like the true form that both these teams are in, like, would be really fun to watch. And I think you almost have to go that route if you're Team AEW down the line, like kind of reach into the dark place to kind of help save them. Even though House of Black's one of those tweeners that, are they heel or are they babyface? It's just like everybody loves what they do because their aura is so unique and different to anything that's in AEW and in wrestling, period.
Buddy Matthews versus Pac.
I mean, anyone, like, just the combos.
Claudio.
Yeah.
Versus,
are limitless. You have everything compare. Like, even though Death Riders have one more extra member, but like the House of Black, House always wins. Like Malachi versus anybody, Brody versus anybody. Like you would have such good pairings. Yes, okay, let's say Buddy versus, like, a trios match. If you had Claudio, Mox, and Pac versus House of Black, like, those are like all huge names, and the pairings would be really great. And I don't think. I'm pretty confident we have not seen Malachi versus Claudio and or Mox in AEW that I can think of. But anyway, so far to leading up to Full Gear, this is what we have so far. I mean, we're not going to spoil anything. We got our preview show next week. Full Gear is Saturday, November 23rd on pay-per-view. So we got 9 confirmed matches. 8 on the main card, 1 on the 0 hour there. That could be with We love QT Marshall, but man, I can't stand that guy. Whatever it is, I hope QT cutters him and beats him in 60 seconds. I don't want to see QT lose to this kind of cheesehead over here.
Oh, come on now, do it for the Rizzler.
No, I'm not doing anything to Mr. Waxed Eyebrows over there. Cannot stand that guy. Anyways, I should block that out. But what we're looking at so far, what match? 2 matches are you looking forward to the most?
I think the tag team's going to be awesome. I mean, obviously, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher is going to be crazy. I think it's going to be great for people to see Bobby Lashley in the ring. And again, does he lose to Swerve? I don't know. I would say the Fatal 4-Way tag match and Swerve versus Lashley, but the one that's going to, I think, steal the show is going to be Ospreay and Fletcher.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, just for pure wrestling purposes, the Ospreay Fletcher. I mean, I'm looking forward to it all, obviously, but pure wrestling, I want to see like what these guys are going to do, how much they're going to cook together. Obviously, I'm very excited to see what Lashley and Swerve, they're going to tell a lot of story, but also like I think Mox, I really want him to just honestly. Let me choose my words correctly. I just want him to dismantle Orange Cassidy in such a convincing way. Like, yes, Orange Cassidy had the promo about beating him before and all this stuff, which, yes, I was there live in Chicago for that match, and I was very impressed with overall that match. However, I want Mox needs to go through a couple guys, as I've said a few weeks ago, and I'll continue to say, goes through some of these Team AEWs in a convincing fashion. We can't, I think for his character to continue to succeed, he needs to have essentially squash matches with top tier AEW guys. I think he just needs to take a few moves, but honestly, just put almost like have the match stop by DQ. I think because he's just put on such a whooping where he's like not looking for the pin. Like he's just he's doing the paradigm shift after paradigm shift and just choking you out and all this stuff. Like he's just doing so much brutal offense that the ref stoppage, he wins. Like I think he just needs to put all these AEW guys in their place until we ultimately get the AEW savior. Take us on that journey and give us that ultimate payoff.
And you know who that is?
Who do you think?
Well, he's wrestling in New Japan now. I think he's going to do his bit, and it's perfect. He just had an interview talking about why he's returning to New Japan and doing business with them. This is perfect because this is going to let the whole Death Riders thing, not Shane O'Mac, no, it's going to let the whole Death Riders thing percolate until we get to. It's going to let it percolate until we get to a point where it's finally nobody is able to stop Moxley, and then the cleaner is going to show up, and the cleaner is going to be the one that saves AEW from Moxley.
I think that'd be so great. Kind of his maybe his final push that he's going to come back for. Who knows? Hopefully not. Obviously, and then then that can lead to an Okada feud. I wanted, as we said in our all-in show preview, how it'd be great pop for Kenny Omega to come back and face Okada in such a big stage. But I guess you could start planting those seeds, Okada versus Kenny Omega for All In next year. But I think you need someone like that. Like, yes, you could have an Ospreay take the horns and do that, but he's kind of tied up into something else. But man, if Kenny Omega does come back to be the savior of AEW, I think that would be so fitting, especially since he was one of the founding fathers of AEW and reuniting with a babyface Young Bucks. And so I think that's what it's going to take, is all those seeds that were planted like the last few months where Young Bucks are walking away. Young Bucks are walking away, and they're, not helping Team AEW when they're like, why aren't you helping us? Like the private parties, the Garcias, they're looking at the Young Bucks like, you're our EVPs, do something. And they're almost just like cowardly walking away. And so if you have Kenny Omega our cleaner, our savior, come back, and then the Young Bucks come out, and then they reunite with the cleaner. I think that would be such great pop, some such great stuff. Which the OG Elite trying to take down the Death Riders. I think that's what would need to happen.
I like it. I just want to let everybody know, due to unforeseen circumstances, Mr. Fun Size is starting. He's got a family now, and he's got a lot of stuff going on. So it does seem like we're going to have to reschedule with Mr. Fun Size, but apologize to everybody on everybody's behalf, but we'll reschedule. And I know he's busy planning he's planning everything because he is the true mastermind behind the Death Riders. But we're gonna have to bring him back. We're gonna reschedule and have him back on live with us. So super excited. But in the meantime, he does have an event coming up, even though he's retired. You definitely want to check him out on his this weekend. He's doing PW Adrenaline. But anyways, Marco, hope you're feeling better, and we hope your family's doing better, and we wish you all the best.
So, that's perfect timing. Sorry, everyone, about that schedule change, but covering that, we will wrap up episode 154 for the night, and we'll be back a busy week next week. We'll be doing episode 155 plus our preview show, plus we got Full Gear, a lot going on, and hopefully then the following week we're going to have to do, which is Thanksgiving. And this year on Thanksgiving is SPD's birthday. So SPD and the turkey are sharing a day together on November 28th. And so we'll be doing shortly after Full Gear our +3. So everyone involved in that draft will get a nice time. Yeah, right. We're going to be full of confetti for my birthday.
Yeah.
A time set up so we can add our +3 to our draft. And the pool is thick, like you mentioned earlier. The pool is thick to be adding some impact players.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait. Bobby's sitting at 14 points. If he decides to pick up Bobby himself, Bobby Lashley, or someone like that, I really think he could start to make that climb, especially if one of those happens to be in the tournament. And as we know, the tournament is going to be full of matches week in and week out.
And this is deceptive too, because you see Steven like right above Courtney and Bobby, but like he's tied with Cray and FTD. Courtney's only 2 points behind. I mean, it's anybody's game. And like you said, my big players are not getting the reps anymore because they're now involved in stuff. So yeah,
my big players, the Young Bucks, are not even here. Their dates are done for the year.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, thank you guys. Thank you for showing up. We love you in the chat. Thank you for the support, everyone. And it's good to be back in the saddle with Mind Runner, the OGDD, SPD, and Mind Runner are signing off for episode 154. We'll see you next week.